DraftKings defense analysis for the divisional round. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Defenses, it seems like there's a pretty straightforward pay up option. How do you feel about kind of the rest of these teams?
This slate's certainly better in terms of offensive production this week. But the defenses, if you just go down the line of like the basic, like looking at DraftKings and seeing opponent rank, it's like, 6 of the 8 are top 7 teams. So that's kind of what you're looking at there. I think there are some teams you can take some shots on, but overall, it's tough sledding for sure.
Do you kind of prefer just using the Patriots and then moving on? Or, I'm assuming you're in agreement that they're the top option.
Yes, top option, but I think you have to. I don't think you're playing cash this week. If you are, then you're using the Patriots. If not, though, I think you can still take some chances. You kind of look at, Pittsburgh on the road. Ben Roethlisberger hasn't quite been himself, et cetera, stuff like that. Rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll jump into, the Chiefs, that next price down, 3,400. This is a team that's been relatively consistent this season. Also, some big-time playmakers, it's basically one Tyreek Hill punt return, kick return away from, them being a top defense.
Exactly. So that's kind of where I'm going. In tournaments, obviously Patriots are going to be, Le'Veon Bell was 70% last week. I'd expect Patriots to be at least 55% in tournaments this week. It's just the clear option. But that means you could get the Chiefs at maybe 20 to 25. And if you're getting them there, that's fine. 3,400, that's a $600 difference. So certainly can bump you up a price tier at some other position if you do that. Chiefs, obviously the high upside you're looking for. I think Le'Veon Bell's going to have his way with them. But, pick six, like you mentioned, Tyreek Hill, punt return, kickoff return, and you're looking really good if they get some pressure on Roethlisberger. I think we're seeing some high upside there. We've seen it multiple times this year. They give up 20 points, but it doesn't matter because they scored 2 defensive touchdowns. So certainly viable in all formats to me.
Yeah, definitely. And as you pointed out, Big Ben has struggled on the road, noticeable home away splits. We'll get into kind of these next 3 teams here, Seahawks, Steelers, and Packers, before we dive into the bottom of the barrel. Are you in on any of these?
Yeah, I'm in on all 3 of them, actually. I think you can hedge with all of them. I think the Seahawks, you look at Matt Ryan in the playoffs and how he's performed, not well. Seahawks defense isn't what it has been, and I think it's most likely that Atlanta just blows them out. But if they don't, and Seattle sticks around and, Russell Wilson starts putting pressure on Matt Ryan early, I could see him making mistakes. That's kind of been who he was the first, 8 years of his career. So if he kind of regresses back to that in this game in the playoffs, I think the Seahawks are certainly viable. As I mentioned, Dak Prescott, still a rookie, obviously played great this year, but I'm certainly looking at the Packers from a, hedge standpoint at 2,800. They've been playing a lot better of late. And, what they did to the Giants offense, even though the Giants offense isn't what the Cowboys is, certainly optimistic. They've been able to stop the run this year. So if they can force, the Cowboys to pass, I think you could see some rookie errors potentially in his first playoff game.
Yeah, that is one certainly way to put it. I just think it is a big spot. While he's been pretty cool under pressure throughout this entire year, it is a different animal, facing Aaron Rodgers in a home playoff game, a lot of expectations on the line. As far as kind of ruling out defenses, Cowboys, Texans basically face the elite quarterbacks and offenses that are rolling through right now. Are you off of them completely?
Yeah, off of the Cowboys and Texans, 27 and 2,300, and the Falcons are right there. Again, you kind of look at that game and you say, either it's going to be a really close game between Seattle and Atlanta, or Atlanta's going to blow them out. And if that's the case, you're getting the Falcons D at 2,600. Thomas Rawls looked great last week, but that's not necessarily an indicator of what he's going to look like this week based on, his career so far. So, certainly intrigued by the Falcons at 2,600. I mean, that's $1,400 difference in the Pats.
Yeah, I like them this week. I mean, I still don't think that offensive line is that good. I mean, Atlanta's been able to generate some pressure. They are dealing with a couple backup secondary pieces, but they haven't been that bad kind of down the stretch here. And you look at Seattle, they have not been good on the road this season. If that continues, then I think you got to take a look, as the Falcons is just basically the punt option here if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, if the Pats get 10 points and the Falcons get 7, you're winning that every time. So it's like, as long as the Pats don't totally go off, I think the Falcons are certainly viable.
So, I mean, outside of the Patriots, how would you maybe rank your next 2 to 3 defenses?
In terms of value or just overall?
Just overall plays.
I think the Falcons are the number 2 best play because it gives you that $1,400 difference. Then I'd go Chiefs. And then, like I mentioned, they're all viable plays, but mostly it's just tournament flyers that you're hedging with to be different in tournaments. So, I mean, Steelers, Packers, Seahawks, all kind of in that next tier for me, all kind of jumbled together that I would want to hedge with, but not necessarily get a ton of exposure to. So Falcons, Chiefs, Pats are where I'm going to be playing most of my exposure.
Certainly, I'm definitely with you. If you want to check out Russ's article, you can head on over to dailyfantasycafe.com, get his takes on his hot defenses here for divisional round. Be sure to check out the rest of our content that'll be rolling out through the week.